Hey there, and welcome to Logan's Voice. I'm Doug Ballinger, Logan's dad. I'm a father, an advocate, and someone who refuses to stay silent while this crisis continues to destroy lives. My son Logan died from fentanyl poisoning in May of 2020. He was 32 years old. His life mattered. He was loved. He was human. Since losing him, I've made it my mission to speak out, not just for Logan, but for every person who never got a second chance, and every family still holding on. Today, you're going to hear some hard truths. You've probably seen headlines, overdose deaths are finally dropping, there's hope on the horizon, and while I want to believe this, we all do, the reality is far more complicated. Yes, deaths are down by about 25%, but the danger, it's not gone. It's just evolving. Two words I need you to remember today: Carfentanil and Xylazine. These aren't just new street names. They're next level poison. They're infiltrating the supply, showing up in pills, powder, and fake heroin, and they're making survival even more difficult. In this episode, we're going to talk about what these drugs are, how much it takes to kill you, what naloxone can and can't do, and what the DEA is reporting about the latest shifts in the illicit drug market. Logan didn't know what was in the substance that killed him, and if this episode helps even one person avoid the same fate, then it's worth every second. Let's get into it. Let's start with Carfentanil. Carfentanil. It's one of the most dangerous substances ever introduced into the illicit drug supply. Carfentanil is a synthetic opioid, originally developed as a tranquilizer for, get this, elephants and other large animals. Think about that for a second. This wasn't designed for humans. It was created for massive multi-ton creatures that need to be taken down from a distance with a dart gun. It's estimated to be 10,000 times more potent than morphine and 100 times more potent than fentanyl. And if fentanyl can kill someone with just 2 milligrams, imagine what just a few micrograms, we're talking particles barely visible to the eye, of carfentanil can do to a human. And here's what's terrifying. Carfentanil has no color, no taste, and no smell. It can be mixed into heroin, cocaine, counterfeit pills, even vapes or powders, and the person using it has no idea. The margin between high and death is almost non-existent. A single dose, smaller than a grain of salt, is often immediately fatal. It depresses the central nervous system almost instantly, slows heart rate, drops blood pressure, and stops breathing. There's no time to react if you don't know what's coming. The DEA has called Carfentanil an imminent threat to public safety. Here's a quote from a 2024 DEA alert. Quote, Carfentanil is not approved for human use. The presence of even trace amounts in illicit drugs drastically increases the chance of fatal overdoses and significantly complicates rescue efforts. Close quote. And yet, this drug is out there. Not in theory, not in a lab. It's already been seized and bussed in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Arkansas, and across the border in Mexico. It's moving quietly. And when it shows up, the death count rises dramatically. People who think they're taking fentanyl or even just Oxy or Xanax might actually be taking Carfentanil, and they never wake up. There's no time for second chances when you're up against something this potent. And it's not just the users at risk. Law enforcement, first responders, and even family members can be exposed during handling. The DEA has issued safety protocols warning responders not to touch or inhale anything suspected to contain carfentanil without protective gear. So why is this stuff in circulation at all? It's simple. Profit. Drug traffickers use carfentanil because it's dirt cheap and intensely powerful. A little bit goes a long way. It's easy to mix, hard to detect, and horrifyingly effective. But the cost to human life is catastrophic. This is the new threat. And as scary as this is, we have to face it head on. Because if we stay silent, more people will die not even knowing what they took. Let's talk about something that comes up in harm reduction conversations. Naloxone, also known by its brand name Narcan. Most people know naloxone as a life-saving antidote to opioid overdoses. It works by binding to opioid receptors in the brain and knocking off the opioid molecules that are depressing your breathing. If administered in time, it can completely reverse an overdose from drugs like heroin or fentanyl. But what happens when we introduce carfentanil into the mix? Here's the truth. Naloxone can still save lives even when carfentanil is involved, but it's not as simple. Carfentanil binds more tightly to opioid receptors than fentanyl does. That means standard doses of naloxone may not be enough. The overdose can progress more quickly, and the amount of naloxone required to reverse it is often much higher. According to field reports from EMS and the DEA, some carfentanil overdoses have required 6, 8, or even 10 doses of naloxone to restore breathing. And in some cases, even that wasn't enough. By the time the first dose is given, the drug has already flooded the brain and the person is unresponsive or in full respiratory arrest. Let me be crystal clear though. Always give naloxone. Every time. Even if you suspect the overdose involves carfentanil or something even more potent, you give it. You keep trying. You call 911. You stay with the person. You administer CPR if needed. And if you're trained, because naloxone may still buy you time, and in a crisis, every second matters. But here's where the urgency kicks in. The fact that it may take multiple doses mean we need to stop thinking of naloxone as a one-and-done solution. That's why you'll see first responders carrying double or triple the amount they used to. That's why organizations like ours, Hope Movement Coalition, are fighting to get multi-dose kits into the hands of families and community members. We also need to push for more training on how to recognize and respond to carfentanil overdoses. Real-time data on what's circulating in the local drug supply, and community readiness that goes beyond the basics, outside the box. Because here's what's really scary. If someone takes a drug laced with carfentanil and doesn't have someone nearby who recognizes the signs of an overdose, or who has multiple naloxone doses, they may never even make it to the ER. Carfentanil takes away the luxury of time. And when naloxone might still be our best defense, we have to adapt to this new reality. This poison doesn't play fair. Now, let's talk about something that's just as terrifying as carfentanil, but in a completely different way. Xylazine, spelled Xylazine. You may have heard of it referred to as trank or trank dope. Whatever name it's going by, it's becoming a common and deadly additive in the illicit drug supply. And xylazine is not an opioid. It's a veterinary sedative used to tranquilize animals like horses and cattle. It's not approved for human use. But that hasn't stopped traffickers from cutting it into fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, and counterfeit pills to extend the high and stretch their product. It's cheap, it's powerful, and it's causing devastation. One of the most alarming things about xylazine is this. Naloxone will not reverse it because xylazine is not an opioid. Narcan has no effect on it. Let that sink in for a moment. We're now dealing with a drug that's being mixed into opioids, and it's completely resistant to the very thing we've spent years training the public to use in a crisis. But here's the part I need you to remember. You still give naloxone every time you suspect an overdose. Why? Because in most cases, xylazine is not alone. It's usually found mixed with fentanyl or other opioids, which means part of the overdose can still be reversed, and partial revival may give you just enough time to call 911, perform rescue breathing, and potentially save a life. What makes xylazine even more sinister is the way it impacts the body. It causes deep, long-lasting sedation, slowed breathing and heart rate, low blood pressure, and something we've started seeing more and more, severe skin ulcerations and tissue damage, sometimes leading to amputations. These wounds often appear at injection sites but can also show up in people who snort or smoke the drug. It's believed xylazine constricts blood flow and causes necrosis, leading to open wounds that just don't heal. We're seeing people, some barely in their 20s, with gaping holes in their arms, legs, and torsos, and they often don't know what's causing it until it's too late. In some cities, like Philadelphia, Baltimore, and parts of Kentucky, xylazine has been found in up to 90% of fentanyl samples tested. That means this isn't just some fringe threat, it's part of the new normal in the illicit drug supply. According to a 2024 DEA briefing, xylazine is now a significant contributor to overdose deaths. Its presence reduces responsiveness to opioids, masks respiratory distress, and complicates resuscitation efforts. There is currently no known antidote. So what can we do if naloxone isn't enough? Here's what harm reduction experts recommend. Administer naloxone immediately, especially if you suspect fentanyl is involved. If the person doesn't wake up, begin rescue breathing if you're trained. Call 911 right away and explain the situation. EMS may have additional tools to stabilize the person. Keep them warm, protect their airway, and never leave them alone. This is where real community training matters. This is where having people nearby who recognize an overdose, know how to act quickly, and understand that xylazine changes the rules can mean the difference between life and death. We can't afford to be complacent just because overdose numbers have dropped. That drop doesn't mean we're winning. It means we've gotten better at reviving people, for now. But if this wave of non-opioid adulterants continues to grow, our current tools may not be enough. We need more awareness, more harm reduction resources, and frankly, more outrage that drugs meant for animals are being snuck into the street supply, killing people and destroying lives in silence. This isn't just a health crisis, it's a moral one. You may have heard recent CDC announcements. Overdose deaths have dropped by nearly 25% in the U.S. And yes, on the surface, that's something to be grateful for. Every percentage point represents real lives. People who survived another day. Families who didn't have to bury their loved ones. Communities that caught a breath. But we have to look beyond the headline, because while numbers are down, the risk is still rising, and that's the uncomfortable truth. The drug supply in America today is not the same one we were fighting even 3 or 4 years ago. We're no longer just dealing with heroin and fentanyl. We're now seeing complex, toxic blends of opioids, tranquilizers, benzos, stimulants, and synthetic analogs that shift batch by batch, city by city, and dealer by dealer. What this means is that even as more naloxone is distributed and more people are trained to respond, the drugs themselves are getting deadlier, less predictable, and harder to reverse. It's like we've upgraded the life vest, but the ocean just turned into a shark tank. Let's be real about why overdose deaths might be down. More awareness thanks to advocates, educators, and grieving families who refuse to be silent. Wider access to naloxone, especially in schools, libraries, and public spaces. better harm reduction tools like fentanyl test strips, and supervised use sites in some regions. And yes, maybe a slight shift in public perception. People now realize it's not just, quote, junkies, it's kids, parents, professionals, athletes, it's everyone. But here's what hasn't changed. The people making and distributing this poison do not care who dies. They're not measuring micrograms. They're not testing purity. They're not warning you that the pill you're taking might contain a dose of carfentanil 10 times what your body can handle, or xylazine that won't respond to Narcan. The DEA recently reported, quote, lab analysis of street-level drugs continue to show an increased presence of high-potency synthetic opioids and sedatives in unpredictable combinations. These substances are designed to evade detection and maximize profits at the cost of human life, end quote. And that's the heart of it. This crisis is evolving faster than we're adapting. We're seeing overdose victims who thought they were taking a prescription painkiller or a Xanax to sleep or a bump of cocaine at a party. What they were really taking was a time bomb. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again now. My son Logan didn't die because he wanted to. He died because he didn't know what he was taking. He died because no one told him how dangerous the drug supply had become. He died because this system is broken, and people are still afraid to talk about it. So yes, I'm thankful fewer people are dying this year, but I will never mistake that for a problem solved, because as long as carfentanil and xylazine are out there, and as long as the drug supply keeps evolving in secret, none of us are safe, especially our kids. This is not time to exhale. It's time to double down. So after everything we've just covered, carfentanil, xylazine, rising potency, and the illusion of progress, you might be asking yourself, what can I do? What chance do we have against something this overwhelming? Let me tell you, you don't need to have all the answers, but you do have power. Here's what you can do right now to make a difference, whether you're a parent, a teacher, someone in recovery, or just a concerned human being. Carry naloxone. Always. Naloxone is still our best tool to reverse opioid overdoses. Even with carfentanil and xylazine in the mix, it can still save a life, especially in combination cases where opioids are present. You can often get it for free through your local health department, harm reduction organizations, or pharmacy programs. And once you have it, learn how to use it. Teach your family. Keep it in your car, your purse, your first aid kit, because you never know where you might be and who you might meet, and you'll be in the right place to save a life. Get educated and educate others. This isn't just a crisis in alleyways or back streets. This is in suburban homes, dorm rooms, high schools, and workplaces. Learn the signs of an overdose. They are slow or stopped breathing, blue lips or fingertips, unconsciousness or unresponsiveness, gurgling or choking sounds, and just as importantly, talk about it. Share information like this episode. Talk to your kids. Bring it up at church, at PTA meetings, on social media, because silence is what kills. Support recovery communities. The sacred work of sobriety is happening every single day in treatment centers, recovery homes, and among people just trying to make it one more sunrise. Support them. Show up. Donate if you can. Volunteer if you're able. Speak life into those trying to rebuild theirs. Recovery isn't just a personal journey, it's a community responsibility. And push for policy change. Call your representatives. Ask what they're doing to address the poisoning of our drug supply. Demand real-time drug testing and expand harm reduction funding. Push for accessible mental health care, trauma-informed services, and support for grieving families. Let them know Logan had a name, and so did every person we've lost. Don't wait to act. If you think someone is using, don't shame them. Reach out. Offer resources. Be a safe space. And if you're struggling yourself, you're not broken, you're not alone, and your life matters. Please seek help. There are people like me who will fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. I didn't know everything I needed to know before Logan died. I can't go back and fix that. But I can make sure you do, that you're informed, that you're empowered, that you never have to say, I wish someone had told me, because you're hearing it now. Before I close today, I want to make sure you have access to real, immediate support. Whether you're someone struggling, someone in recovery, or someone afraid for someone you love, please know you're not alone. Help is out there, and there are people who care right now. In a life-threatening emergency, if someone is unresponsive, not breathing, or you're witnessing a suspected overdose, call 911 immediately. Then administer naloxone if available and begin rescue breathing if you've been trained. And here are some crisis and support lines. Mental health and substance use crisis, 988, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Call or text 988 from any phone in the U.S. Available 24/7 for mental health, substance use, and suicide crises. Overdose and drug information. Never use alone. This number, 800-484-3731. I'll say that again, 800-484-3731. Call if you're using substances alone. They'll stay on the line and send help if you become unresponsive. This can save lives. Text peer support. Text HOME to 741-741, crisis text line, 24/7. Confidential support for anyone in distress. I'll say that again. Text HOME to 741-741. That's the crisis text line. It's open 24/7. Confidential support for anyone in distress. And if you've lost someone to overdose or fentanyl poisoning, I see you. I'm one of you. There are grief support communities. You don't have to carry this alone. Reach out to us at Hope Movement Coalition or join our weekly support group on Zoom. You'll be welcomed with open arms and without judgment. If you need information on our weekly Zoom support group, please direct message me at Rex Logan's Dad on Facebook. Every name, every number, every resource I just mentioned has helped someone survive. Maybe even someone just like Logan. Please don't wait until you're at rock bottom. You don't have to be at the end of your rope to reach out. All you need is breath in your lungs and a little bit of hope. And you matter. And we're not giving up on you. We see you. You are not alone. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment to speak directly from my heart. I know this was a heavy one. Carfentanil, Xylazine, chemical cocktails with no antidote. It's terrifying. It's overwhelming. And it's enough to make some people want to turn away and go numb to say, that's not my problem. But here's what I've learned. Through heartbreak, through advocacy, and through losing my son Logan. Turning away won't save anyone, but showing up might. Logan didn't get the chance to hear an episode like this. He didn't get the benefit of knowing what he was really using. He didn't know that the drug supply had changed and that the next time might be the last time. But you do. And now, so do the people you choose to share this with. We don't talk about this to scare you. We talk about it because truth saves lives. We talk about it because silence kills. We talk about it because Logan still has a voice, and I'm here to be that voice. And I know I'm not alone. If you're in recovery, I see you. Keep going. The world needs you sober. If you're grieving, I'll walk beside you. You're not broken. You're still loving out loud. And if you're scared for someone you love, keep showing up. Say the hard things. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Let them know there's still a way out. And for those who feel helpless, please know you're not. Every time you carry naloxone, share information, support a recovery home, or just refuse to look away, you are part of that solution. If this episode moved you, please do 3 things. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Visit logansvoice.com to support our mission, get a copy of Logan's story, pick up some awareness gear, or just learn more. And if you believe in what we're doing, help us bridge the gap. Join us in August, on August 23rd in North Little Rock, or donate to Hope Movement Coalition to keep this work going. Logan was more than his addiction. He was funny, he was smart, he was very stylish, and he loved motorcycles, and he was deeply loved. And he deserved more than silence. So I speak for him. I speak for the lives we've lost. I speak for the ones still fighting. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent.